A very quick reminder, brothers Lyle and Erik Menendez shot their parents dead in their home in 1989. They were 21 and 18 years old at the time. They never denied that they did it, but both insisted that their father sexually abused them for years, that their mother let it happen, and that the killings were in self-defense. And a jury, though, did not agree. 30 years ago, it's been 30 years, the brothers were convicted of first-degree murder, sent to prison for life without parole. Fast forward to this year and a bombshell documentary in which a former member of the boy band Menudo claims that the Menendez's brother's father molested him, too.
Are you ready to tell all the details? Because they're very shocking.
Yes.
He is the key to getting action even after all these decades.
I know what he did to me in his house.
Okay, and in some other recently discovered evidence, and the Menendez's brother's lawyer says Lyle and Erik, now in their 50s, should be out of prison. And who is their lawyer, you ask? Well, it is our friend Mark Geragos. He is back joining us now. All right, Mark, this is like a story that I think I'm hooked on because something doesn't feel right here, and it does feel like it's getting new energy. I know it's been a few weeks now since you filed a motion to have the case reheard. Where does that process stand?
Well, we've had what I would say I'm cautiously optimistic about. We filed in May what's called a writ of habeas corpus. We cited the explosive allegations from the Menudo member and a letter that was excluded. And now we have got what's called a request for a informal reply from the DA's office that was issued by the judge where we filed it. So we're very, very, I wouldn't say optimistic, but cautiously optimistic that the tide has changed, that we have now compelling evidence. And you have to understand, Brian, what happened back then was there were actually 3 juries in over 2 trials. In the first trial with 2 juries, one for Lyle, one for Erik, the jury heard all of the evidence, heard the abuse evidence, and were split. They were hung on whether it was murder or manslaughter. They're not trying to excuse what they did. All they're saying is that clearly the abuse explains and negates malice. Now, what happened between jury trial 1 and 2 and jury trial number 3, where there was just 1 jury, is that the judge, who was the same in both cases, changed the ground rules in the second case. He basically invited the prosecution at the beginning of the case to wipe out imperfect self-defense. They didn't take the bait. Then he waited until evidence was closed and he withdrew the imperfect self-defense. A complete changing of the rules. You don't have to believe me. There's a tape of the Ninth Circuit argument in which one of the judges, the Ninth Circuit judges, basically said you change the rules in the middle of the game so you get a conviction. So these 2 have now been in for 33 years. The law has changed. But more importantly, how we view these things as a society has changed. Somebody smarter than me made the comment, if these were the Menendez sisters, they would not be in custody.
Right, and how differently would it have been handled today? I think, like you said, we're in a different time. I'm curious, Lyle and Erik, what do they make of this new energy behind their case, the documentary? What's the latest with them?
I talk to one or both with some degree of frequency, and I think they would, without revealing attorney-client, share my optimism here. I think we really have quite a bit that we can present that strongly, is to quote Rosie, it's time. It's the perfect time. Somebody had asked me years ago before I took on the representation, there was starting to be a movement amongst TikTokers. I don't know if you're aware of this, but I wasn't, and I'm not an avid TikTok user, but there was a movement there. And I was interviewed for a story and I said, I've seen other cases many that you can think of, I'm sure, Brian, where when the public starts to see, wait a second here, a conviction may have been more a product of the time where the case was tried as opposed to the evidence and how we have kind of evolved. And I think that's exactly what we have here.
I'm just thinking about all this time that they've been behind bars. Do they get to talk to each other?
Yeah, well, recently they are now they're housed in the same facility. Both have been model inmates. We're putting together the packages in mitigation as well. And I will tell you that Erik has a record of helping others, promoting programs, doing all kinds of the work that one has to do, and has had such a impressive grasp, introspective grasp of everything that went on, that it's truly one of the most impressive things to have any kind of a conversation with him and with Lyle. They're really some of the two most impressive men that you can talk to. I enjoy speaking with them.
Interrupt you. We're getting close to the end of the show. I highly recommend people watch the documentary. You mentioned that letter. I mean, basically, Erik wrote a letter to his cousin about what his dad was doing to him, the molestation, and it got thrown out. There it is. They weren't even allowed to tell the jury about it. The jury didn't get to see that. So something very strange. Mark Geragos, thanks so much.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.